Welcome, modern day mystics, fellow truth seekers, James and Justin back again, and today we're going to take a look at another spiritual teacher, popular modern day teacher, Angelo DiLullo. I was looking up some of his most popular videos, and this one kind of popped out and said, do you remember when you realized it was all a lie?
He's good, man. He's really smart. He knows what he's talking about. Let's check it out.
Finally recognize that there's a big lie being told in a lot of different versions, a lot of different ways. It's being told in the way we communicate with one another. It's being told in media. It's not a big conspiracy either. It's not like some kind of conspiracy theory to control people or to make you miserable, or it doesn't have to do with aliens or anything like that. It's just a collective hypnotic effect that being identified with thought and mind has. But it's very powerful. Do you remember growing up and realizing all of this was a lie? I do. I remember sometime around adolescence, or maybe a little while after adolescence, I realized that all the things that I had been told by adults, by parents, by society, there was something wrong about it. There was something just wrong with it. There was something inaccurate. I'm not sure if I could fully put my finger on it, but I know that what came with that recognition was a really uncomfortable feeling, like an emotion, some kind of sense of helplessness or a sense of fear. Because if all of this isn't real, if all of these people who are acting like they're okay are not really okay and they're burying it, then what's really going on? How am I going to figure out what's going on? How am I going to learn to live in a way that feels real, that feels accurate, that feels honest, that feels not like repressed fear? I think in retrospect, what I actually sensed in people was repressed fear. And I also remember noticing, although I don't know how consciously I noticed this, but it was in my processing. It was kind of built into the thoughts. I could see this happening, that there was part of the messaging that I was getting about how to be in the world, how to act in the world, what was important, what was going to make you happy. I could see that in that messaging, there was this other hidden messaging that was and don't question this. And if you find that it's not true, don't talk about it. Pretend it's true. It's okay to just pretend. I could sense all this, and I could sense people around me doing it, and it seemed to work for them, at least most of them, as far as I could tell. I don't know what they were thinking. I wasn't inside their mind. I wasn't feeling what they were feeling. Now, in retrospect, I think many people actually did feel that. Many people felt that sense of something's wrong with this. But let me find a way to go deeper to sleep so I can avoid feeling the emotion that comes with realizing this is a lie. So much of what we're talking about as far as how to be a human, be a good person, do the right thing, believe the right beliefs, it's not true. There's something really off about it. And learning okay, when you don't want to feel that, here's what you do next, right? It's okay. We all go through that. Here's what you do. You build this other identity on top of that. And largely it's an identity of seeking. It's an identity of trying to get to the next thing, get to the better thing, get to the bigger thing, get to the next life milestone, let's say. And
This is a little bit of a longer one. I just wanted to touch base and see what you were thinking so far.
I was thinking that I think he was ahead of the game. And I think he might underestimate how many people don't think about certain things up until way later on. I feel like I was a late bloomer to many of the things that he's talking about here. And even still, I didn't really get it, even till when he said it. When he said it, and I was able to envision it and picture it, and I was like, yeah, I can see the suppressing of the feelings and the fear and all that stuff. It's clear. That's clear. But growing up, I thought, well, this is just how it all goes down, people are telling white lies here and lies here, and this is how the system kind of all unfolds, and I'm part of it, so I got to find my place inside this thing that's here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
yeah, and he does videos where he addresses like triggering people and stuff, because I literally think, look at how gently he's speaking, but I guess he gets some comments that are like angry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in some of his videos, he addresses like the words he's saying triggering people and making them upset.
Yeah,
People pretty, you know, mired in their situations and not always looking for like you said, maybe some people recognize that he may have a natural tendency to see certain things. Like, people vary in their capabilities and their qualities. Like, some people are naturally more sensitive or empathetic. Like, you know, a person will be like, I'm not yelling. And to them, it feels like they're being screamed at or something like that. You know, he might have been sensitive to something that's going on that some people, you know, not naive. Like, I guess the word is naive, but they just walk through life a long time, not aware of the pain that's going on around them. You know what I mean? Or whatever. You know, in some ways, it's like you can almost think of that as you know, it could be thought of as a protection, but eventually what happens is you see like you're hurting too. You know what I mean? A lot of things do hurt even when you don't notice them. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a lot of people look at what he's talking about and they're like, how do I just survive in this game? I think in the beginning phase anyway, I think a lot of people, when it comes to like the lie or the environment that they grow up, there's like the backdrop, even in the buried in the subconscious is just, how do I survive?
My issue with the whole thing is this, okay? There are people from a young age that are going, why is everybody mean? And everybody goes like, be a man.
Yeah.
Get it together. And so you're kind of like conditioned into being a way and to survive, right?
Yeah.
With the qualities and attributes that the world around you tells you are important and good. But there are people, there's all kinds of people that from a young age are like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
And my problem is this. Those people, they may or may never figure out what Angelo's pointing to here. And if they figure it out, they'll go, oh God, I'm free. I can let go. You know what I mean? They either feel validated or they discover for themselves the reality of what their existence is. Not everybody. But the problem is, some people only learn not to be mean to other people, not because they realize that they're really one thing. That's not what makes them realize it. Somebody that's their enemy saves them. Or somebody that they were kind of like unconsciously going through the world, taking the world at its word.
Yeah.
They're propagating the same hate that was entrenched into them, the same trauma and the same conditioning and same selfishness and the same narrow vision and the same like just stupidness. They learn it, whether they're a genius or not, they learn it, and that's the language they know, and they walk through the world like that. The problem is that when they get saved or salvation finds them and they're redeemed and they realize their true nature, that's not what happens. They don't wake up. And the thing that changes them and everybody claps for joy is that they get saved by their enemy, and then they go, I guess they're not all bad. Right. You know, I used to be this way. I was a bad guy, and then, you know, it took a lesson. Everybody thinks it's a lesson that's going to save them. Well, how else, Justin? How else are you supposed to see? You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's difficult to talk about because it's not an abstract notion, like the notion of everything being one thing or something like that, versus the notion of you got to do what you got to do to live. It's more like a seeing and embodied experiential shift. And so without that, you're kind of doomed to learn the lessons the world has for you. And that's going to be surprises and humblings and failures and successes. It's just going to flip-flop, push you all the way through life. And you're going to maintain a kind of arrogant confidence in what you know from experience, failing to see the greater picture that he's pointing at. You know, I'm a little tired today, so I'm actually struggling to articulate myself very well. But that's the fear here, is that the thing that somebody might assume that, you know, yeah, you realized it's all a lie. Welcome to the fold, brother. Nihilism. It's like, no, that's another stupid, dumb shit, dumbass, moron. You might as well feel bad about that. I give you permission to feel embarrassed that you actually thought that you were one lesson away. One lesson away, you know what I mean? And now I get it. Forever and ever, amen. Happy ending, and they all lived happily ever after. This thing is what it appears to be. It's this. This is what's going on. So it's not going to be a new idea or a new piece of information that you found. Like, I collect knowledge. I'm collecting knowledge, or I'm collecting riches, or I'm collecting this. That's not going to save you. That's not the salvation that you need. That'll cause the scales to keep going like this forever. You know what I mean? You tip this way, and then guess what? Those people that you adopted, somebody's going to betray you, and you're going to go, I knew it! Knew my first idea was right. You're failing to see the thing that it's a fiction, that you're separate, some separate thing in all this. You know what I mean? That's the fiction, is that you can learn. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
it's difficult to talk about.
yeah.
Just come in all varieties. It can be the milestones of your personal life, having children, having a relationship, having a career. They could be other kinds of milestones, including spiritual milestones, getting to the next level of whatever, enlightenment, or finding the perfect teacher, or getting into the in crowd in a spiritual group or circle or something, right? It doesn't actually matter what the story is. The seeking is what was taught to us somehow. That when you feel uncomfortable, it's okay, just seek something later, right? It's like you're actually taught to overlook how you're feeling right now. You're taught to overlook the fact that you're feeling really uncomfortable by going into your mind and seeking. And there's only one place you can seek, really. There's only one place you can do this, and that is in the mind. And so what happens is our attention goes into the mind, into thoughts, and starts to actually distance ourselves from the emotions. We start to distance ourselves from the feeling that something's off, that something's wrong. It doesn't mean that those feelings go away. What happens, though, is the mechanism gets revved up. It gets a lot of momentum, and that's why people notice thought after thought after thought. There's so many thoughts. Some estimates are like 80,000 thoughts a day or 20,000 thoughts a day, depending on how you define it, of course. But the point is, we notice this. We notice all the anxiety, all the depression. Why? Why is all that happening? Well, the reason it's happening is because we've learned to use the mind. There's nothing wrong with the mind fundamentally, but we've learned to use it to avoid that fundamental sense that something's not right. And of course, I come along and I tell you, no. Go back. Go back and see that something doesn't feel right. Embrace the fact that something doesn't feel right. It's okay to feel that. And it's scary. It's scary the first time you recognize, oh shit, not only do I sense that something's not right, something isn't right. Something's not right with the way we're talking about being people, the way we were talking about being separate, being individuals in a separate life with a whole bunch of other separate individuals in their own separate lives. Like, there's something really off about that. It doesn't feel right. It feels really uncomfortable, right? So I'm saying go back to that, touch into it. It's okay to feel the discomfort, because that's really the beginning of trust.
So there's this trap, which is to be like, okay, let me go inward. Yeah, I don't feel right. And then, you know what I mean? And then you're like acting it out. Now you're alone. There's not even anybody there, but you're behaving as though there's a camera crew recording the back of your head. And, you find like a ledge to look out on. And you're still just basting the emotional turkey. You're still just like, that would be too good. That's not even quite right. You're basting the ego. You're like building a new identity of like, not everybody.
Of the guy that feels the pain.
Yeah. You'll get there. Some knowing attitude or some shit on a stick. You know what I mean? It's none of that. It's none of that. That's it. That's all I'm going to say. You know what I mean? If you're curious about this, because I don't know who's seeing this and how they're going to be like, you haven't said a fucking thing, dude. I agree. I haven't said a thing. But if you're, by some weird chance, interested in this, go watch Angelo. I'm not the guy. I'm my own thing. I don't know what it is. But I'm saying he's alluding to something important that actually ends up being the solve in the end, if you pursue this, to suffering. That's all. Just the solve to suffering, not the solve to like money or starvation or anything, but the solve to your own personal suffering. You know what I mean? You could end up in a position where, as you're going through life, you're okay with it. Now, some people, if you check in with them and you go, hey, you okay with life? They'll be like, you kidding me? I love my life. Best job in the world. Best thing ever. But they're like making an angry face. They're like making like a fucked up, possessed by devils face. You know what I mean? Because they're really possessed by like a narrative. You know what I mean? They bought the thing that happiness is an outside project. You know what I mean? Well, because people conclude, it's not the stupidest thing in the world to conclude, well, happiness isn't on the table. I've been alive a long time and I'm never going to be happy, but I can at least convince other people that I'm happy. That's not like nefarious. That's not like an evil thing to do. But this is pointing at like the goblet of gold or whatever the thing is. Like the what is it?
The goblet?
The
Holy Grail?
Holy Grail. Which is like genuine actual peace. Genuine actual ending of suffering. That's what it's pointing to. So go watch the rest of his videos. Otherwise, this is probably not going to make much sense to you.
Because before that, the only thing you trust is your own ego. The only thing you trust is the elixir that has been handed to you that says, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. If you're uncomfortable, go to sleep. Drink this elixir of time that says, oh, in the future you can be this. In the future you can get that. And the more you drink, the more you realize, oh God, even when I get those things, I still don't feel good because I keep seeking more. That's okay, just take another drink. Take another drink of that magic elixir, right? The more you drink, the worse you feel. But every time you take a drink, you can, for just a moment, forget that you're feeling that way. Does this sound familiar? Like an intoxicating substance? Because it is. Intoxicating substances, alcohol, marijuana if used that way, any kind of intoxicating substance, opioids, those aren't in and of themselves evil. They're just molecules that have effects. What they are, though, is they are an external and sort of amped up version of the internal avoidance mechanism that we use. That's all they are. They're just ways to do it more efficiently. But the primary issue is a thought-based issue. And that's really good news, right? The addiction to thought, the addiction to seeking, the addiction to avoidance is the fundamental addiction. All other addictions just stem from it. So it's good news because no matter what your addiction is, get to the root addiction, address that directly, and you're getting somewhere. Yeah? So this is finally recognize that there's a big lie being told.
Sorry, everybody. This will be the last time I stop it, and then we'll finish up the video. So what he said there, the actual core addiction, because he mentioned outside or superficial addictions, but the main one was an addiction to thinking.
Yeah.
An addiction to thinking. That's huge. Because if you're new to this, and more people aren't new to this, but if you happen to be new to this, you'd be like, yeah, but all there is thinking. Like, what are you talking about? The friggin' hell on earth are you talking about?
Yeah.
All there is thinking. Well, there's some investigation afoot then. You know what I mean? No, there's more than thinking. There's more than like thinking and thoughts.
The first thing that comes to my mind is observation.
Yeah, that's observing is good, but you can even observe from a place of like the thinker. The thinker can be observing, you know what I mean? Like the ego is kind of a tricky thing. But one simple thing that might be handy is the prompt to let go of thoughts. Let go of thoughts. And the first time you hear that, after you've heard it a few times or you've meditated a little bit, that ends up making some sense. But the first time you hear it, you're like, let go of thoughts. Let go. You're like thinking, you know what I mean? You're thinking of letting go of thought. You think more, but it ends up being a letting go of thoughts, like letting go, like you're holding, you know what I mean? See the example of a hand holding, you're letting go. Yeah. And if you've never done that, it's odd. You're like, I can't. All I can do is grasp. All I can do is like grasp with another thought. Yeah. I'm captured by my thoughts and you're thinking.
What if you're the person who says, but I can't let go. Those are my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that person?
I would say, who's saying that?
Well, that's a good question to ask.
But I mean, like, if that's what you're saying, like if you go, I can't let go though. Those are my thoughts. You go, who's saying that? And you say, me. And you go, well, who's me? You go, this one. You know what I mean? Every rapid thought that comes out of me, it's me. And I'd say, well, if you watch quietly enough, if you can get yourself to, if you are interested, if you're not interested, you're not interested. There's people that go decades of meditating and it's a total show. You know what I mean? Or they like kind of the way it feels or something, and they're not getting at what he's alluding towards. But in that process of sitting and meditating, there will be a whole mind game that goes on.
Yeah.
And when you're watching, when there's watching going on, when observation and witnessing is starting to like get some room within you, you will eventually get to a point where the thought, I am the thought, or I'm thinking these thoughts, or they're my thoughts, will start to look like teleprompter. It'll start to not look like, because it's not necessarily a visual thing. You'll start to recognize that they're emerging from within you. They're like bubbling up from within you. And when you don't act on each thought, right? Because a lot of times you'll be like, I'm itchy. I should go do this. And you'll just do it. Your body obeys your thoughts. When you stop obeying the thoughts and you sit and you sit and you sit, eventually a peculiar thing happens where the thoughts bubble up. They're your thoughts. They're in your voice, or they're whatever you usually think about. But you notice that they're just appearing from within. Yeah. And then you're like, whoa, like it's still very uncomfortable because I want to be them because I've been trained to be them. And now I'm quaking because I'm actually not being these thoughts, all the way to the point where it might as well be a teleprompter that you're just looking at. And then you can ignore them. And then you're not the thoughts. Then you're not wrapped up in the thoughts. And then you're not being prompted by them. And then something weird happens. You're present. And things are as they are, and you see through the trauma, and you start to see through all the conditioning that led you to build this solidified, centered ego, and you can let go of all that. And then that starts to feel like freedom, starts to feel like liberation and freedom. And you're like, oh my God, I was like in a fucking dream before. I was like lost. I was them. I was in a fantasy. And then all of that gets seen through, and you're grounded in the present moment. You're like, I was in the future a moment ago. I was in the past. I was in my memories. I was in worry. And all of a sudden I'm here and I'm present.
In a lot of different versions, a lot of different ways. It's being told in the way we communicate with one another. It's being told in media. It's not a big conspiracy either. It's not like some kind of conspiracy theory to control people or to make you miserable, or it doesn't have to do with aliens or anything like that. It's just a collective hypnotic effect that being identified with thought and mind has. But it's very powerful. We can go back and recognize that's happening. First of all, that's called recognition of our own dissatisfaction or suffering. That's the first step. The good news is when you take that step and you realize, okay, yes, I am feeling something is off. And I've been using the seeking to avoid recognizing that. I've been using this fantasizing to avoid recognizing that. I've been using my mind over and over and over to keep that thought stream ramped up. I've been contributing to it. And now I know it's actually avoidance. It doesn't feel good to avoid, right? Once you recognize that, it's kind of like you reverse the whole thing. Now you go back through the suffering and you can look around and see, okay, if something's way off here, what is it? What's way off? What is it that's way off? What is the big lie we're telling each other, right? And if you watch my channel, you know that there's sort of a series of lies that we tell ourselves that create this hypnosis. And we can undo that. We can break those spells that bind one by one. And we start with investigating in a very direct way the nature of your own identity and the nature of thought, because they are one and the same essentially in this initial investigation. Seeing how identity is tied into thought, seeing how we derive the sense of identity from thought. When you see that clearly, you have a chance of breaking that first spell. And that's how this all starts, this unbinding process. And it turns out there's very good news here, that it's okay to recognize that something feels way off, because something is way off in the way we normally process. The good news is once you're honest about that with yourself, you have the opportunity to see what's off, to see it clearly, see the mechanism, and then there's really good news buried in that. Really good news. What a gift to realize, no, you're not actually here to suffer like that. That's not the only way of experiencing reality. Definitely not the only way. It's the most common way, but it's a way that causes a lot of suffering, a lot of anxiety, requires a lot of thinking, requires a lot of energy in the head, leads to stress, leads to burnout, leads to violence, all of it. You can see that's not the only way. It's just the common way. So what is the other way? What is the other opportunity, other choice, the other possibility? There are are many ways to approach this. I have playlists on this. Basics of Awakening is one to start with if this is new for you. Awakening Approaches if you really are ready to like hit it. And I'll also say it is a little different for everyone, for sure. There are different approaches for everyone. But the one approach that doesn't work is to go back to sleep. To just convince yourself that what I'm saying is not actually true. Right? It's either true or it's not, but you got to trust yourself for that. Check in with yourself. Is what I'm saying true? Is that suffering there? Does something feel wrong about the way we perceive ourselves and the way we talk about perceiving ourselves and the way we talk about being a person and how to function in the world and all of it? And it gets multiplied into all kinds of discussions, right? Political discussions, religious discussions, all the interfamilial discord that comes up, arguments, all this. It's all based on the same fundamental misperception that I'm talking about. Those are just side effects. So if that feels real to you, if that feels right, then you're in a good place. Be honest about it with yourself. And that's 90% really of orienting toward that first insight, that first shift that I'm talking about. It really does start the ball rolling. It brings resources to your aid that you can't see right now. So trust yourself, trust your instinct for once, instead of the delusion, the collective hypnotic delusion of self and other, of suffering, of time, all of it, right? Of separation. Just set that aside for a minute. Trust your own, trust your own instinct, trust your own intuition. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. See where that leads you. You might be very surprised.
Angelo, he's a good teacher. I think he does a really good job of helping you just like zone in on some things that are pretty important. A lot of stuff you already mentioned. But yeah, it inspires me, makes me want to take a closer look and calm down and just chill. He's one of those teachers that just chills you out, right? So,
well, here's an interesting caveat. You might not be in a position to chill out just for the time being. Maybe that's what triggers people sometimes.
Yeah,
it's hard to fit everything into one video. You're always going to miss some things that people are going to go, "You son of a bitch." You know what I mean? Because somebody out there is like in an emergency situation. They ain't got time to question, analyze whether their ego exists. We stay pretty busy, but we also kind of pile a bunch of karma onto ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, and this video doesn't talk about some of the struggles. He's got other videos because he's got a huge tome of videos that you could sift through and find, well, what do I do in case? Well, what do I do? Because that's how it starts, man. The ego got nothing but questions. You know what I mean? Questions and answers. And the things you might ask is, well, what the hell am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? And, hey, Angelo, I got enlightened and my family won't talk to me anymore. Or, hey, Angelo, I got enlightened, but I got to pay the goddamn bills. You know what I mean? And I go to a place where if they sniff out that I'm different and walking around with peace, they'll get me. Yeah. Who are you? Why are you so happy? You know what I mean? That's like a real character that exists. And the nefarious kind of crazy thing about that character is it's not always obvious to the person who's doing it. Yeah. They don't know because there's so much mitigating of the pain, good, like drunk, high, whatever, you know what I mean? Like lost in gossip, lost in entertainment, lost in whatever there is, that they don't even realize that they sometimes are themselves the person that's irritated by somebody that's walking around peaceful. You know what I mean? Like, oops. You know what I mean? Like, well, guess what? You're on shoveling shit duty. Everyone has to take a turn. I thought you were so happy today. What's happening? Why are you angry? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not trying to, don't feel ashamed. Like, all the stuff I talk about, I think is embarrassingly, because we've all, there's no identity emerging here that's not contributed to by the world around it. Yeah. So if it resonates and you're like, I know that person, it exists. If they exist anywhere, they exist to some degree in all our minds. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so that's a valid question. What do you do if it's hostile? That is what you will encounter. Yeah. In some ways, the path of the spiritual seeker, not the club joining, robe donning spiritual seeker, but the spiritual seeker, the person that's like, if happiness can be found because I discovered it, I can't buy the narrative anymore. I'm not happy. So you choose the only real path, which is what the hell is going on here and how do I get a modicum of peace? It is, I do think it's oftentimes the path of the like total
Hermit?
not hermit, but it's a singular journey that emerges all of a sudden, because you're going to have to be like, what's going on? I can't trust anything. You know what I mean? Where am I going to turn to? The whole problem and solution is from within anyway.
Mm.
Does that make any sense? Is what I'm saying coherent?
There's something relevant there. No, and I even resonate a bit with you. Like, the more you're on this journey, the more you realize you've got to kind of do it alone in many circumstances.
But if you weren't so desperately self-serving and self-centered, not you, all of us. If we weren't so desperately self-serving and selfish and like desperately protective and terrified to the point where we'll actually get somebody else because they pose a perceived threat to us. If you weren't that way, then it wouldn't be the end of the world so much that you don't jive with everybody, because what are you really jiving with when you are jiving? You're jiving with corruption. You know what I mean? You're jiving with a world that's deluded. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Believing in all kinds of crazy fantasies and politically brutal and cruel.
Yeah.
You're moving away from that to like the true singular path where it's like, it's irrelevant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all those things, they exist. They're not going anywhere, and I'll move through them. But I'm not deluded and confused about this vector's place in all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll end it here. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed our reaction on this. If you liked it and you want to leave a comment, don't forget to do that. Hit the like button, subscribe, share this with a friend, and everyone until next time,
Stay spiritual.